I don't know why you just can't wait for me to take my axe out of the target before you throw yours. Look, now we got another axe to haft. Thanks. Problem is that Dave does what Dave wants to do every single time. Now guess what? We've got a ton of content to make, and now we got to stop to haft another head on another handle because you can't listen. You just want to do what you want to do. Great, grand, terrific, wonderful, awesome. I love it. Welcome back to the channel, guys. It's Wes, the Suburban Viking. Of course, we got Dave here with us, and we are from Midgard Axe. How's everybody doing? Okay, so axe handles. Why do axe handles break? That's what we're going to cover in this video here. And I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks that you can use along the way when you're axe throwing or when you're just doing all kinds of different stuff with axes that will help you prevent your handle from cracking, splitting, breaking, all that good jazz, okay? So let me just start off by saying this. I know there's a thing out there that everyone uses, which is you gotta watch out for grain orientation, grain run out, and density. But is that always the case? As you guys already should know, the answer to that, at least my opinion, is no. That's not always the case. Yes, it's supposed to be. If you have vertical grain with no grain run out and you have a very dense handle, then you should be good and having a very strong handle, and it probably isn't going to break. But as you guys know, and I've shown in the past, that's not always the case. Council Tool Boys axe right here, guys. We got vertical grain with very little grain run out at all. Boom, handle split right in half. Okay, then we have the Husqvarna Carpenter's axe. I've been throwing this axe since before I started this channel. 45-degree grain orientation with a bunch of grain run out in it, and I've already done some design work in this handle. Put divots in it with a sander, which compromised the wood. I know it did. Guys, this head hasn't moved at all on this handle, and the handle hasn't broke. So what's the deal? What is the issue, and what causes handles to break? Let me give you guys some tips and give you some information on why your axe handles could be breaking. If you can get a handle with vertical grain, with very little grain run out, and the handle's dense, get it. But if you find a handle that looks really good, if you like the wood grain in it, whatever the case may be, and it's got some things off on it, try it out and see. I've had some nasty looking handles before work out really well, and I've had some great looking handles crap the bed after just a few throws. So don't let it deter you. I'm not saying don't look at it. I'm just saying don't let it deter you in buying an axe handle, okay? Another way you can break axe handles is to hit the leading edge of your target, meaning you over-rotate the axe and the handle hits like this. That is a sure way to break your handle in half, chip it, do all kinds of stuff to it, guys, and you're probably going to have to replace the handle. You'll see a lot of people that will put rope around the edge of their targets, and that's why it softens the blow of an over rotation. Okay, I don't do it because I'm pretty accurate, but I'm also hard-headed and I just don't feel like doing it. But if you're new to axe throwing, or if you're practicing with accuracy, putting a rope around your leading edge will prevent that handle in most cases from breaking or cracking, and it'll prevent you a lot of headache from having to haft a new head onto a new handle, okay, or existing head on a new handle. So do that. It'll save you some time and some headache. Another way you can break your axe handle is to over rotate your axe and smash the eye onto the target, okay? It can blow out the eye. It can also cause a fracture inside the handle that you may not see that will come out later from throwing your axe more and more and harder, and it sometimes will work its way down the handle, okay? The only way that I've found a good way to alleviate this issue that's very simple and very easy, use a steel barrel wedge at the top. The steel barrel wedge will take a lot of the force from that hit. Also, if you over rotate and hit your eye, you'll notice too that the handle sometimes will work its way down and the head will work its way up, okay? Using a steel barrel wedge will splay the wood over top of the actual axe head. So when you get those eye strikes, the wood is literally just splaying more over top of the actual axe head and preventing the head from moving up on the handle. It also prevents the top of the axe handle from blowing out when you do an over rotation, and it also helps from the axe head coming loose. I don't like steel barrel wedges per se. I think they're ugly, but they definitely help with over rotations into target, and they could prevent your axe head from coming loose or the top of your axe handle blowing out from the top of your axe head eye. I would check all of your axes to see if you have knobs that look like this, that are just flat with no rounded edge. Axes like this can actually shatter, can actually fracture really quick with a knob strike. I don't like using axes like this. I normally round my edges over like this, giving it a round contour at the bottom. When you throw your axe and you get a knob strike, you have full force taken on this bottom of the knob here, right? So when it comes in, it doesn't really deflect all that much. Whereas if you have a rounded knob, it has more of a chance to deflect that energy that is hitting the wood target to the left, to the right, up or down. Up or down. So I would suggest that you go check all your handles and see if they have really sharp edges on them like this, or if they're rounded over. If they're like this, I would suggest rounding them over like this. It will definitely help with knob strikes and deflecting the energy when the axe hits the target. Here's something else that people don't consider: the holes that they drill in the bottom of the axe handles. The reason why this is a problem is because it starts a point of issue. Now, it's not very common, but when you put a hole in here, you've created a weak spot. And what'll happen is that if you throw the axe hard enough and the knob hits, it can split just like this one did. Now, am I gonna let a hole in the bottom of a handle deter me from buying that handle? No, but it is something that I'm thinking about. And if I can get a handle without a hole in it, I'm gonna buy that one instead. Another thing people don't consider is how their heads are hafted onto their handles. That can cause an axe handle to break. It sure can. And I've showcased that on a lot of my videos in the past, right guys? When I've shown that axe heads should have been farther down, they should have been sat farther down on the handle. Here's a brand new Holzbruch carpenter's axe handle, a straight handle, okay? And I'm gonna give you guys an example. You'll see here where the actual, let's turn it this way, where the axe head comes down and then it flares right in this area here. If you have an axe head like this one here that has lugs on it, you want those lugs biting into this area right in here where it starts to splay out. A lot of people that manufacture axes, and when they go to seat the heads on the handles, for some reason, I don't know why, but they'll stop the bottom of the axe head in this area right in here. Right in here. It should be stopping in here. You want your axe head to come down on that shelf right there that flares out so it bites in. When you haft your head too high up on the handle, now this isn't the case every time, but a lot of throwing axes, it happens a lot. If you haft your head too high up on your handle, you've given only this amount of room right here to hold your axe head on. And as you guys know, I throw really hard. You're putting all the stress from here to here on this handle. And look what's in the middle of it, a kerf. You've cut your handle in half to put the wedge in, right? But now you've made all of the force on this handle now is placed right here, instead of it being placed on the actual shoulder, which is why when I haft my axe heads on my handles, I go all the way down to where it starts splaying out right here. So the lugs come down and kind of squeak on. And then I've got the shoulder back here for it to sit on as well. You'll also see a lot of axe heads. You'll also see a lot of axe heads come loose when they're hafted really high up on there. And the reason why is because it hasn't gotten to that point for the axe head to stop on that shelf. So if you guys notice that you'll get a brand new axe, and the Husqvarna is pretty famous for this, that you'll see it and it's like hafted like way high up. And as you use it over time, it'll start to move around. Actually, guys, I've got one. Let me go grab it really quick. I've got a Husqvarna that was hafted from the factory, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Now, don't judge. This thing's been outside for a really long time. It's literally a prop now. But this was hafted by them. Look at that, guys. See how it was literally sitting way up here, and now it's moved down onto the actual shoulder. It's done moved itself down to the shoulder, and now it's not moving anymore. This is where the head should have been placed to begin with. Had it been placed down here, it wouldn't have moved its way down because it wasn't sitting on that ledge that splays out for the lugs to sit on. So a lot of axes that sit high like this will end up moving down and actually sitting where they're supposed to be eventually. So pay attention to that. Here's one that can create controversy, but it's true, and I know it's happened to a lot of us out there, and not a lot of people talk about it, which is when you drive your wedge in, when you're putting a new handle on an axe head, okay? when you have to put this wedge down in here to splay this out to get a good fit, sometimes what some people might do is they'll use too thick of a wedge and they'll smash it down there as hard as they can. What happens is that when they do that, it can cause fractures in your handle. And when you're throwing your axe, it can lead to the head loosening, and it can lead to cracks in your handle, causing your handle to actually break inside of your actual axe head eye right in this area, which is what I found happened to a lot of my World Axe Throwing League axes. Also, too, a lot of people don't measure their wedges correctly. They will throw the wedge in there and they'll smash it and smash it and smash it. And what's going on is that's bottoming about at the kerf. It's not going to go down any farther, but they're smashing, smashing, smashing. And what happens is that you'll either blow out your wedge or you will cause the actual handle where the kerf is to crack. And you may not see it, and you may think it looks great, and you go to throw it, and all of a sudden it cracks or it breaks inside here. It's because you didn't measure your wedge properly, and it was way too long, and you smashed it into the handle. So pay attention to those two things too, guys, because those can cause your axe handles to break. Another thing too, guys, when you're hafting a new handle onto a head, and you're smashing the knob down here, trying to seat this head onto the actual new handle, make sure you guys aren't smashing this knob too much. If you can go get a 3 or 4 pound wooden mallet, I would suggest using that. I use a steel mallet because I know how to adjust the handle, so I'm not smashing this thing a lot. But if you're new, I would suggest getting one because you're going to be taking this head on and off when you're trying to figure out how to seat a head onto a handle. So save yourself some time and some heartache and go get yourself a wooden mallet, so that way you're not working on a handle for an hour just to get it sat, and then you have that one final blow and the thing splits all the way down the handle. It's happened to me before. It happens to me every once in a while when I get a handle that can't take the abuse. But guys, save yourself some time. Pay attention when you're smashing this knob that you don't smash it too much and you don't use a really heavy steel hammer. Another thing that can cause axe handles to break is your targets. I use pine targets. They're very plentiful in my area and they're actually really soft. So they help keep the abuse off of my axes when I'm hitting or missing, okay? And I will tell you guys this, choose the way that you hang your targets wisely. I've got the center of this tree. This used to be a tree, of course. I've got the center of it facing this tree, okay? So the outside of the tree is facing me. Listen to this. See how soft it sounds? But let's go over here to the round and listen to this. See how much harder that sounds? Now you guys know up front, I've got the same target like this hanging, but it's flipped around. I will tell you guys that target up front is a lot harder than this target right here because the outside of the tree is gonna be at its softest, whereas the center is gonna be at its hardest. So going forward, when I hang targets again, I'm gonna make sure I hang it like this, because I'm gonna tell you guys something. If you're throwing an axe at this target right here, you can have a lot of misses and the handles normally don't break. Whereas if I throw it that wood round or throw it that target up front where these targets are a lot harder, I can get handles breaking really fast. So pay attention to the wood you're using for your targets and how you have them hung up. Also, another way your handle can break is when you're hafting the head on the handle and you're not filling this entire axe eye with wood. Bottom, top, make sure you can't see all the way down. Make sure it's splayed over. Make sure it's nice and tight on there. If you have loose areas where your axe head is moving up and down or it's not filled, eventually it will come loose, okay? And what happens is that when you're stepping back to throw really hard, or you're stepping back to throw for double, triple, quadruple rotations, this handle is being put through a ton of stress when it smashes into the target. And when it's not filled, when the handle's not filled all into that axe head eye up there, it'll start coming loose. And what happens is that when you step back to throw hard or step back to throw for distance, and you have an axe handle that is loose inside that axe eye, it can cause the handle when it hits to just snap and come right off. As you guys have seen before, I've shown in some of my videos where I didn't even throw the axe very much at all, maybe 10, 15 throws. And at the beginning I said, hey, we got some space in here. And when the axe head hits cleanly, the handle just snaps. And it always snaps somewhere right in here. And it's because it's probably loose inside of the axe head eye. It's not always the case, but it can be. So make sure when you're hafting your head onto your handle that you've got wood filling all up inside that axe eye to prevent that. I know I threw a lot of information at you guys in this video, but it's something to think about whenever you're dealing with axes and you're doing axe throwing or just using your axe normally and chopping and splitting. Some of those things can be used in both, okay? And then some will tend to work better for maybe axe throwing more so than using it for a chopping or splitting axe. But you know, all in all, I think all those tips can help you prevent your axe handles from breaking. Guys, of course, too, depending on how hard you throw your axe will determine if you break a lot of handles too. As you guys know, I throw axes hard, but I'm pretty accurate. So I don't go through a ton of axe handles that have broke because of me. I've showcased where it was me, and I've came out and said, hey guys, it was because I threw an axe hard and missed. But there's a lot of times too where manufacturers do all those things I told you guys to look out for or not to do, and that's the reason why a lot of these handles break. You also have to consider too to keep your axe handles oiled. That is a big thing too. A lot of people don't oil their axe handles. And there's so many axes that I get from manufacturers that come and the axe handle is extremely dry, especially in the eye area, which is another reason why you can have axe heads breaking off of handles somewhere in this area right here. A lot of your stress is put right here when you're throwing an axe, and then it vibrates and reciprocates down the handle. But a majority of your stress comes all right in this area. So if you are seeing where your axe heads are breaking a lot in this area, it could be a dry handle. Or could be a dry throat from talking too much. Good gracious. So to end the video out, guys, just make sure you pay attention to your axes. A lot of these things are very simple. Keep your handles oiled. Fix that knob at the bottom and round it over so it's not a hard edge smashing into the target, okay? Make sure you pay attention to your targets, the wood you're using for your targets and how they're hung. Make sure when you're hafting your axe head on your handle, you pay attention to that wedge. Put a steel barrel wedge in at the top on one of your new axes that you get. See how well it works out for you when you're throwing it. See if it changes anything. I bet it will if you do it correctly. I bet you'll see that you won't have a head moving up and down the handle as much as you did when you didn't have a steel barrel wedge in it. Do you have to use a steel barrel wedge? Of course not. If you use a good wedge and you seat it correctly and splay it over, then it should be fine. However, using a steel barrel wedge is very simple to do. It's very easy. Anybody can drive it in there, and it gives you some insurance, okay? If you guys have any information that I could use or anybody else that watches these channels could use, put it in the comment section, guys. I don't know everything, okay? And I do a lot of this stuff unscripted. I just think about it and tell you guys on camera, and that's the reason why I have a lot of cuts in here is because I'm not scripting anything. I'm just telling you guys from brain, okay? So, you know, it'd be kind of disingenuous for me to make a script and then tell you all this stuff because that's not really something that I'm doing, right? But it doesn't mean that I'm not open to you guys telling me stuff that I could do. I mean, I'm always open to information. If you guys got something, tell me. Tell me. I'm always open to it. But I don't like making scripts because I feel like making scripts is disingenuous when it comes to stuff like this because I'm giving you my facts and my point of view, and I want it to be genuine, right? I want it to be genuine. And what I think about and how I tell you guys stuff, I want it right here, right now, and that's as genuine as I can get. So, appreciate your time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you got something out of this. I know Dave's going to stop throwing axes whenever I've thrown an axe and haven't taken it out of the target. Right, Dave? Right. He gets it. He understands. So, guys, I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, if you've got some information for me that would help me or anyone else, put it in the comment section. I don't know everything. If you got some information, put it down there. I'm sure somebody could use it. I could use it. I'm always looking for new things to figure out how to prevent axe handles from breaking. We can't always prevent our axe handles from breaking, right? We just don't know if they're going to break or not. Sometimes it's nothing you did. It's just the handle broke, and that is possible. But if I can give you guys information on what I've learned throwing axes for as long as I've been throwing and hafting axes and seeing all this stuff, I'm going to put it in a video like I just did here, and hopefully it helps you out. But until next time, guys, see ya. Let's go, Dave. I may not have covered everything there is to cover when it comes to how an axe handle can break, but I try to hit the key points. I got a sidekick over here that doesn't talk when the camera comes on, so I got to do this solo. As soon as the camera goes off, he's chatty Cathy. Just stares at me when the video's on. What a weirdo. I love this axe. Man, this axe is so cool. It's such a cool axe. Such a cool axe. Some weird, funky design I did up there, but man, this thing is a great flyer. Just a great flyer. Actually, you know what? Let's take it back. These are for the people that actually watch my videos. Because I know there's a bunch of people out there that don't, and that's okay. That's totally okay, guys. Oh, we're in the sun, aren't we? Try to get you guys out of the sun And I think that's probably about good. I'll adjust the camera. But, you know, some people watch all the way through, some people don't, and that's totally cool too. Like I said, guys, this is a hobby for me, and I enjoy it. Let me go around to the back here and make sure, oh yeah, we're all kinds of jacked up here. Okay, yeah, we're all set up and good to go. All right, so we're gonna throw this around a little bit. We do have 2 axes over there I'm gonna do videos on. If you guys didn't know, the family is out of town. They are in Pennsylvania for a wedding. I was supposed to go to it, but I can't. I don't know if you guys watch my Project Viking channel. On there, I tell you guys about a strike that's coming up at my job. We are all going on strike October 1st. So I'm not gonna be working for I don't know how long. I don't know how long it's gonna last, but I stayed back to continue working because I need to make money. So that's why I stayed back. But I'm gonna film a few videos. I've got a hatchet over there you guys are gonna wanna watch. I think it's gonna be a good video, and I'm gonna title it, I bought the cheapest carpenter's axe from Lowe's, which is actually a pretty decent looking axe. And then I've got a Grand Swiftbrook axe over there I'm gonna do a review on too. It should be fun. Let's throw this around a couple times and we're gonna get out of here. I tell you what, guys, for how thick the cheeks are on this thing, the Husqvarna Carpenter's axe, I did thin them down a little bit. I kept it a little thick because I wanted to be able to do some work. But man, this thing flies really well. I love the Husqvarna Carpenter's axe. You gotta work with that thing, guys. You gotta work with that thing. You're not gonna be able to get that thing from the manufacturer, get it to your house, and use it like I do it. Because if you do, you're gonna be like, why is he freaking out about that axe? That axe isn't all that great. You gotta put work into it. But once you do, that thing is a great axe. It is. It is, guys. I'm telling you. Husqvarna Carpenter's axe for the win, guys. You got to put a little time into it. Thin those cheeks down, give it a little bit of a thinner bit profile. Take the head off and rehaft it because it's going to come loose. I can tell you that right now. Every Husqvarna Carpenter's axe I've ever got that I've tried to throw from them has come loose eventually. It does every time because they don't seat it far enough down onto that wedge on the handle and on the shoulder. And then the handle starts to come up higher. The head moves down to where it's supposed to be, and then it stops. You guys ever notice that when you use an axe or throw an axe and your head moves down on your handle, that it gets to a point and then it stops? And it's usually right here on the shoulder where the handle kind of wedges out. That's because that's where it should be sitting to begin with. If you would seat your head there, cut your curve, seat your head there, wedge it there, steel barrel wedge it there, it's not going to move. And that's why so many people have problems with axe heads coming loose, because they don't put it on the handle where it should be for axe throwing. You guys got to do it. You got to move that head down to where it's supposed to be sitting at, so that way you guys can throw your axe hard and it doesn't come loose. You can miss and it doesn't come loose. You can miss all day long. You can hit the eye, you can hit the knob, it won't move because you've got it where it needs to be at. So try that. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go film the other 2. See ya.